Hello, everybody. Tanisha here. I am coming to you guys with a bariatric video. And so I was initially going to re-record these videos because they were recorded right before I had a weight loss surgery. And I was supposed to put them up as I was losing weight, but everything happened so fast. And honestly, guys, I just been out here living. So I decided to go ahead and put the videos up. But I wanted to go ahead and put this introduction in because what I don't want is for you guys to be like, dang, she was just small and now she's back. No, I'm still here. I'm still going strong. But I hope this information helps anybody who is considering this option to help them lose weight. Okay? I'm going to be honest and transparent in my journey, and I hope this information blesses you. And jump right into today's video. I wanted to just share with you guys a little bit about where my mindset was once this decision was made. And so I will include some snippets of just some footage as I was going from my consultation appointment, and I will go ahead and incorporate that into this video, because I think it's important for me to go ahead and share that and get that out. I can't say how much I'll include because I'm recording this in advance. I haven't watched that yet, but as I told you in the first video, I want to be sensitive to where I was then, and I want to be sensitive to where I am now. And then also in the future, I just want to make sure that I don't want to put too much out there that's going to have me feeling those very hard feelings again, because again, it takes a lot to resonate and just be like, you know what, this is what I want to do. At least for me, it did. So before I get into that real quick, I want to talk to you guys about the process of going ahead and deciding that I was moving forward. First of all, I had been doing research on this for quite some time. I looked into it for about 3 or 4 years before, and I actually had mentioned this to my parents about 2 years ago. I know for a fact because my father was now retired. So about 2 years ago, I mentioned it. And they just said the same things, that most people say, which was like, you should really consider doing it naturally, because when you hear surgery and you see somebody big, you are nervous. It's surgery, you're put to sleep. It's a lot that can happen. And of course, it's serious. Surgery is serious. Even, a C-section, they say it's C-section, C-section. Then after you have the C-section, the doctors and the nurses say it's major surgery, so something that can be done over and over and over again that's commonly performed, it's still major surgery, so we want to make sure that we're being attentive to our bodies and all those things. And so I just had decided after that conversation, and even with a couple other people, that I'm going to be more mindful of who I share it with and when I share it, because I didn't want anybody to sway my decision, because their opinions did sway my decision. Obviously they cared, so that's not the issue, and that's definitely not the topic of this video. But whenever you hear those things, I want you guys to be mindful. Just don't take it offensively, don't take personal offense, because that's not what people, at least the people in my life, they're not trying to offend me by saying do it naturally. It's just more of their concern because it is major surgery. But that's a video for another day. So from there, I decided to do some more research and go ahead and pick my surgeon. I like to have 2 or 3 options because life happens, and I didn't know what insurance we'd be under, if that was a possibility. So I narrowed it down to 2 surgeons here in my area that are closer to where I live, in the Lone Star State. And then from there, I set my consultations up and decided to go ahead and finally share it with my family. So I did my research for a while, and then eventually I was like, you know what, this is the year. So I sat all of my family down in October of 2019, my family being the people in my house, my family. Sat them all down, from the littlest Tinky to the biggest husband, and I explained to them that I had been thinking about this for a long time, years, and I was ready to go ahead and move forward with having a bariatric surgery of some kind. And I let them know this was not something that was up for pretty much debate, because I had thought it all the way out and I was ready to move forward. And I just asked them if they would just give me the year 2020 to work on me. because I was just spiraling physically. And it was obviously coping with a lot of stuff that I had going on. And so they all agreed. And my husband, he was like, okay, well, when you think about your surgeons, let me know. Bam, I got that. Okay. When you set your consultations, let me know. I already did that. And everybody was in agreement. It was a blessing. And so from there, I was excited. I was like, okay, I can start this process now, and then I can move forward. Well, then come to find out, the insurance that we had at the time had a bariatric exclusion. So I'm like, okay, here I am thinking that I could go through this little insurance process and I could be having surgery in 6 months in the beginning of 2020. And no, that's not a possibility because it's a bariatric exclusion and you got to pay out of pocket. And in my mind, I hear pay out of pocket, I'm thinking $20,000, $30,000. So it's just not a choice. So I didn't even look into it further after that because I was so sad, distraught, and devastated. Well, then COVID happened and I was like, oh my gosh. And then everything was shutting down. They were stopping surgeries and it was a crazy mess. I mean, you guys were there, okay? It's still going on. So I was like, what in the world? This is the worst year I could have picked to try to focus on me. But it has been such a blessing because I got to have precious, uninterrupted time with my family. We always have time, but it's completely uninterrupted because we have nowhere to go. And then I got to have precious, uninterrupted time with God. And I got to also look into the things I needed to do to get myself mentally prepared for this race. So from there, right around about July, I was like, you know what, I'm ready to try again because they had opened up the elective surgeries in my area. And so I was like, okay, well, we have a new insurance now. This has got to work. So looked into my insurance and my husband was like, I think that we can get it done. I think this can possibly be done. So we looked into it and then they were like, well, no, you have a bariatric. They didn't use the word exclusion. They used a different word. So it made it seem as if like if I did classes or something like that, then it would allow it to be okay. But then when they checked it at the clinic, it was a complete exclusion. And when we called back, the girl was like, no, that was somebody new. It's an exclusion, honey. It's a big X, okay? This ain't a Wakanda X, boo. This is an X, okay? It's not happening unless you're paying for it. Where they won't pay for visits, they're not paying for nothing with the B word in front of it, okay? Bariatric vitamins, not a thing. So, but it ended up working out. So we got to be able to do cash pay. And then from there, I was like, okay. So that's when I went ahead and set my appointment for my consultations. I set up 2 appointments, but I decided to stick with who I met. And I had my reasons for that. So from there, so now I'll go ahead and include information, just some snippets about what happened as a result of my bariatric consultation. And then we'll go from there. Okay, y'all. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to post this. I keep saying that. Or when. I just came out of my consultation. See, my appointment was at 1 and it's 3 o'clock and I have saw everybody. Today's appointment was with my Bariatric Solutions and they gave me a lot of information. I'm glad that I went with the person that I picked right now. I don't know yet if I'm going to go to the other consultation because I feel really, really comfortable. But then I also want to give that, opportunity as well to get that information as well, because you never know. This is something that we are paying for, so this is not an insurance thing. This will be something that will be paid for, in full. This will, no loans, nothing like that. It's something that we are doing. Not one time during this whole process did anybody say, do you want to move forward? They were kind of like, okay, next you do this, next you do this. So that makes sense, because some of the people were saying that it makes, in the comments of not just this clinic, but in all the clinics that I looked at, they were saying that they feel like they were herded from one place to the next place to the next place. But I don't feel herded. I feel like they try to get everything in, and because they send you home with so much information, then from there you can make your decision, because you coming to do this consultation obviously means that you want to get weight loss surgery. So it's it's an easy assumption to be like, okay, well, next you would do this. So I didn't feel hurted. I just felt like they were progressing me to the next step. This was a decision-making meeting. You don't have to decide. If you choose not to do anything else, you pay nothing else. You don't move forward. You deny, the sleep study or whatever you have to do. You don't have to worry about it. So I don't feel rushed. Obviously, because again, my appointment was at 1. It's 3. One of the main questions that I asked my surgeon, the most important question that I asked my surgeon, in my opinion, was, what would you look for in a surgeon who's getting ready to perform surgery on you? What would you look for? And he gave me a really good example about, obviously you're going to look for accreditations, you're going to look for skills, you're going to look for education. But the main thing he talked about was just, the frequency. How often are they doing this? Have they updated their methods, or have they adjusted their methods based off of their experience in doing this? So for example, like a coach, he was like, you could have somebody who was a coach over many coaches, but he doesn't necessarily get in and he doesn't coach that area anymore. Or if you're doing basketball, so this person doesn't shoot free throws often, so they may not make the free throws, but if they're shooting free throws consistently, then they're going to, obviously make the free throws more so than not. So you want to look at their experiences, how often they're doing it, how many they've done each year, what their average is. He in that information, I didn't ask, but he went ahead and he included any issues that have happened recently, the numbers and information about that. I appreciated that I had not had anything major occur with him, so that made me feel good. And just a lot of information. He talked about his own personal experiences with the process, and even just being a patient of a surgeon, dealing with something personal. And I appreciate that. And then I also asked about bad sleeves, because I've seen a lot of people talk about that and have to get revisions. I've also seen people mention that in some of the comments that I saw when I finally looked at, a forum last night, and or a group on Facebook last night. They used to be called forums back in my day, but a group on Facebook, they were on Yahoo, they were on Yahoo forums, but a group on Facebook I looked at, and he talked about how there can be a bad sleeve. Obviously that's the experience of the surgeon and things of that nature. I honestly thought people were just making it up and they were just not eating right, but he did mention, yes, it can be a bad sleeve. It can be cause, for you to have revision. He does a lot of revisions and things of that nature. Obviously, most people who get a revision don't go back to the same surgeon if they feel like they had a bad experience. So he did talk about that, and I appreciate that. I really do. And that was good information. So then from there, I went to find a financial person who broke down all the, the cost of everything. Like I said, this is something we're paying for. Of course, they give you options for financing and stuff like that. I appreciate that it's no secret cost. That's some of the concern that I saw with some of the people who went with other clinics. They say that this is their price, especially for folks who are like me, who are paying out of pocket. And then they get in there and they're like, oh yeah, we had to do this, this, and this, so you owe us an extra $3,000. So that was good to see everything laid out and to know if there's any extra costs, how would that be covered. I'm thankful to my children. I have talked to each of them. They are 5, 6, and 12 now. And I talked to each of them privately. I had private time with each of them to ask them questions, how they feel, what they think about this. They've all voiced their support side by side with their concern, obviously for my safety. But overall, they have all said they're excited and they're happy for me, and they will help me in any way possible. And I don't know how they turned out so awesome. I just don't even know how. So, all right, guys. So I hope that you enjoyed that video. There will be more coming. So you're going to see me in all different sizes, but the content is important. And I thought it was important to let me speak from where I was then. A couple of things that I noticed, even just watching those videos, is how I breathe when I'm talking. You don't hear me wheezing and stuff anymore. I used to have to talk extra loud to try to overtalk my wheezing, and I was so uncomfortable and so unhappy. But God is a healer, and I'm so glad that I can look back on that footage. And I'm so glad I didn't delete it. And that I'm able to share it with somebody to help them, but that it's helping me by rewatching it and growing. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to live holy, to love graciously, and to laugh often. Bye.